Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Rob.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Kurt.
Thank you for joining us.
Welcome back to Admit 3. Today we're discussing the sports drama film Creed 3. Creed 3 is the third film in the Creed series, but it's ninth installment of the Rocky franchise and the very first to not feature Rocky Balboa as a character. Michael B. Jordan makes his directional debut this time around, working from a screenplay by Keenan Coogler and Zach Baylin. The film centers around Adonis Donnie Creed, who retires from boxing as a heavyweight champ to focus on his wife Bianca and their daughter Amara. The Creed family is enjoying a happy, successful existence as Donnie assists his coach, Little Duke, in running the Delphi Boxing Academy, and Bianca excels as a music producer. But that peaceful life is threatened by the return of Donnie's old friend, Damien, played by franchise newcomer Jonathan Majors. Damien, who is a rising star in the boxing world as a teenager, has just been released from prison after an 18-year sentence, and he is determined to make up for lost time by becoming the heavyweight champion of the world. Throughout the film, we come to realize just how much Damien resents Donnie for claiming the life that he believes he deserves, and this results in the once inseparable friends coming face to face in the ring. Kurt, I know you're a big fan of this franchise. What did you think of Creed 3?
I'm not going to, hold my cards here. I'm just gonna put it all out on the table.
Ooh.
I love this movie.
We know.
Absolutely, absolutely love this movie. I'm very curious to see what you guys think because I've been a fan of the Rocky series since I was a little kid. I've watched them all so many times. Rob, you have seen Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Creed 2, and now Creed 3. Those are your only experience with the Rocky franchise.
Correct.
And Laura, you've only seen 45 minutes of Creed.
I've seen
Creed
the first
3.
Rocky movie.
Have you seen the first Rocky movie?
Yes, I've told everybody that.
I didn't know that.
What? Even I told Sherry that
None
too.
of us were listening.
Yeah, I said I've seen the first one. I think I've seen some of the second one, but I haven't seen all the other ones fully through.
Excuse me. Either way, I'm very excited to see what you guys think. I really love this movie. I thought Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job as a director, bringing a different flair to the movie, the fight scenes and otherwise. It had a different energy to it than the other Rocky movies. And I'll dig deeper into that later. I'll get your guys' knee-jerk reaction first.
Well, I can't really say that I found it any different from the other ones because I didn't see them. But I actually did enjoy the film. Shocker. I would watch it again.
That's rare.
Yeah.
It is rare.
I feel like, especially since we saw it in the Dolby theater, all the fight scenes, you can really feel the punches and I feel like I don't know, maybe just the environment really set it up.
I'm glad you mentioned that because seeing it in Dolby, with a movie like this, it definitely made it feel more interactive.
Yeah.
When the punches are being thrown, you felt it in the seat. It's that's pretty cool.
It enhances the experience for sure. It almost kind of, the fights make it feel like you're almost at a live event.
Right, like you're part of it. It's cool.
And I definitely agree. I really enjoyed the movie overall. I thought they did some interesting things in it that they took, I think you said it after the movie, they took a few risks in some of the ways they shot some scenes, which I did appreciate. I know you also said that Michael B. Jordan is a huge fan of anime, and this movie in particular is heavily inspired by anime tropes and whatnot. And it really does show in a lot of the scenes in the movies, especially towards the last fight. I thought it was really good. I think if I had to rate the Creed movies, I would say, in order from how I like them, I'd say
Creed 3, Creed 1, Creed 2.
I would say Creed 1, Creed 3, Creed 2.
Not to be bland, but it's exactly the same for me. Creed 1, Creed 3, Creed 2. But for me, Creed is a 5-star movie. I think Creed and Rocky are neck and neck for me as first in the entire franchise. And I think Creed 3 might be just below, Rocky and Creed for me. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. What did you guys think about Jonathan Majors as Dame Anderson in the movie? How did he hold up as a bad guy for you?
I think you did a pretty thorough job there. I feel like you really do feel sorry for him because this situation where he was just trying to, get the guys off of Adonis. I hate calling him Donnie. I will only be calling him
What's wrong with
Adonis.
Donnie?
No.
That's what he wants to be
If you have
called.
such a cool name, like as Adonis, why would you want to be called Donnie?
You can't make that decision for him.
I know, but I'm saying Adonis is such a cool, powerful name. Why would you want to be called Donnie? No.
It's like a nickname.
Yeah, it's dumb. Anyway,
Do you think Apollo went by Polly?
I feel
There were
like
two Polly. Polly want a cracker.
I would still have that guilty feeling as well. Like if my friend who was like trying to, stick up for me in this time, and then I ran like a little bitch, I'd feel like, yeah, I owed him something too. But then when you see like he's willing to play dirty and like break other people's arms just so he can get where he wants to be, it's like you're not getting there by showing that you're the best. You're getting there by cheating. So
Yeah, I do see what you are saying, and like obviously there was a lot of like foul play that he did, like again targeting injuries and like hitting people when it was like not technically legal. But I feel like it's just like a different style of fighting, It's kind of like this is a very weird comparison, but in like the Revolutionary War, how like Great Britain would like line up and like that's like their style of warfare. They would just like line up and they would expect the other guys to line up in a field and you just like shoot until like one side wins.
yeah,
And the Americans developed guerrilla warfare, like hiding in bushes and trees and shit, and like you have to do whatever you can to win the fight.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
but also if you're agreeing to fight in a specific way to show that you're better in that category, then taking cheap shots doesn't show that you're better.
I'm not saying it wasn't scummy for sure. I'm just saying like it's like a different mindset. Like it really shows like his mindset of like he's willing to do absolutely whatever it takes to get to his goal, even if that means, breaking the rules. That one scene after he's fighting Felix was the guy's name.
Felix.
The at the time the current heavyweight champion who was training under Donnie. After they went like a round or two, and he goes to take Damien goes to take his mouth guard out, and some of his teeth start coming out. I was just like, oh, that's so gnarly, but it was so cool too.
Yeah, he spits in the bucket. You
His
see his
like
teeth
his
in there.
teeth.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool.
I think it was only one tooth, but anyhow, it still sucks.
I
I
think
couldn't
too
imagine
that-
like getting my tooth
Yeah, I think too you have to take into consideration that he's been in prison for 18 years, and if he was keeping up with boxing in prison, surely he had to develop some of those dirty moves. Not saying it's right, but it kind of goes along with the character that he was performing dirty moves in the ring. But I thought Jonathan Majors was fantastic in this movie, and I referenced him being the bad guy, and he is the villain of the movie. But there's this overarching theme of how these kids were treated, like how they were treated as children, and how that molds what you become as an adult. And you're looking for places to put the blame, and sometimes it's misplaced, and you have to, fight through those demons to move past that and beyond that. And that's one thing I loved about the dynamic between Adonis and Damien, especially in that final fight, is you can see just in their facial expressions and the way they're looking at each other, you can see them working that out between each other just through the fight and through their movements and, with their eyes and their interaction without any words. You see them working through that conflict.
Yeah, and to play off that, when they're fighting and it cuts to that scene where Adonis sees him like as a child and then Damien sees him as a child, like they finally get to hash out all that bad
Pent up aggression.
from when they were younger. And then it's very cool how they filmed how like everybody else just fades away. It's just them in the ring.
Just them in the ring.
Just
It's like the shadow
going
realm.
That was like my favorite shot in the movie.
Yeah.
I think.
It was
I
very well.
love
very
that
well.
scene. At first, was a little, it caught me off guard a little bit, I would say. I was distracted by it because it's so unlike anything else in the Rocky series. But by the end of it, I loved it so much. I loved the lighting and the way the color kept changing. It was very much like an anime. And, you know, every time, you know, Donnie went up against the ropes, it would show like the prison cell like, behind him. It was so cool.
That was so animated.
And
It was funny.
I can imagine why that scene might take people, especially, you know, people who are accustomed and want to see what they are used to seeing in these movies. I can see why it might throw them for a loop, but I really loved it.
Yeah, I think it was very well done. I do have to ask because I didn't watch the last Creed film. Is their child Amara? Is she born in the film, or is it?
She is born
Okay.
in Creed 2.
So they already know that she's dead.
Yeah, they knew that she's dead. Yeah.
I really like how they like incorporated sign language and
Yeah.
like deaf culture and everything in movies like that. It's cool.
Yeah, it was great, and their family dynamic was very cute. I loved their chemistry. They felt like a real family to me, and I think that Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson in all three of these movies have such great natural chemistry, and they work so well together. And you know, throwing Amara into the mix
She's like
she's so good.
I'm not talking. She is very good. The actress that plays Wanda, but I'm talking about Bianca. What's her name?
Tessa Thompson.
She's gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
even I feel like she could have no ounce of makeup on, and she's like. I know it has nothing to do with the film, but I just had to shout
I
out.
thought you were gonna call her a knockout or something like that.
Boo. I wanted to ask you, Laura, and because in my opinion, I was kind of like looking at this movie from the mindset of like if I had not seen the other movies, and I feel like this one does a good job of explaining like the whole backstory to Adonis and some of the side characters like Drago's son. What's his name? Ivan?
Victor.
Victor.
Ivan is drunk.
Gotcha. Victor. And there's the other one, something Pretty Boy
Ricky Conlon.
Pretty Boy Ricky Conlon, yeah. Or Pretty Ricky Conlon, whatever they
Yeah,
call
pretty.
it. So like those characters, you might not understand like the significance of them, but I feel like they did a good job of explaining, you know, Donnie's background and like why, you know, he's the, you know, I guess he's not the current heavyweight champion, but like all the belts under his title and like,
All the belts under his belt.
yeah.
You're canceled.
And I just feel like even if you hadn't seen the other movies, you could jump into this one, because this is the third movie in this franchise, and usually with that, like it's hard to jump into the third movie and like
Yeah.
just be able to pick up
Yeah.
everything. So I feel like they did a pretty good job addressing that. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I understood like where he is at now, where he was before, like his upbringing.
I
What I
think
had to go
part of
through.
that is so successful in
you
a way
bored?
because Rocky is in the movie. Like I said before, this one has a different DNA than the other Rocky movies, and I know there are some issues with Sylvester Stallone and the producer Erwin Winkler, and so you know Rocky wasn't in this movie because of that. But I felt Creed 2 wrapped up Rocky's story in such a satisfactory way for me that I don't think he needed to be in this movie, and I think the story is perfect as it is without, you know, kind of forcing Rocky into it. And so this is Creed's first movie where it's just Creed and all about him and his legacy and his family. And in that sense, it's a sequel, but it's also a perfect fresh start for somebody who maybe hasn't seen the first two movies like you.
I like how pretty much the whole movie is just him fighting with himself, feeling like he's worthy of what he's made for himself.
Yeah.
Because like the whole thing where he didn't want to be known as Creed's son because like he wanted to do it on his own instead of just like
Yeah.
getting all the attention for beating.
That's like a recurring like main theme in all the Creed movies. Like
Yeah.
he's so afraid that he's not gonna be able to live up to his father's legacy.
Yeah.
But he worked hard to get to where he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
He's
feel like
proven time and
at the
time
end
again
he's
that
finally
a
like, yeah, I maybe these things worked out in my favor, but I worked my ass off to fucking get here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where we're at.
not only in this movie is he dealing with, living within Apollo's shadow, but you have, Damien comes back and is like,
Yeah.
you have the life that I was supposed to have. So he's like, man, do I deserve to be here? Am I a bad guy for having this life?
And then he has the guilt of like, oh, it's like I ran, I didn't do anything to help him out.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's a lot. It's a lot of his own personal demons, which is like every Rocky and Creed movie is that. But this did a good job of being a little bit different in that regard, and it's also a little darker, I would say, than the other Rocky movies. This is almost, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Cape Fear, but it reminded me a little bit of that in the way that Damien comes back and he's almost, stalkerish a little bit. And every time that you see him again, he's a little more aggressive than the time before. And there's so much tension brewing underneath the surface with these two guys that I was almost like, fight his ass. You've got to fight him. Like, this guy has got to go down.
I think I actually turned to you and I was like, he's gonna come out of retirement just to put this motherfucker in his place.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't.
I almost kind of wish that like he didn't give him that like satisfaction of being like, oh yeah, I get to fight you. You know what I mean? I would have been like,
I almost thought he wasn't going to, and this is a very heavy spoiler, but there's a scene in the film where Marianne Creed, she has a stroke and she's having organ failure, and she eventually, like, she ultimately passes away. But one of the last things that she's saying is, there are other ways to do this. You don't have to fight. There are better ways. I really thought that
he was going to take that to heart and be like,
he was
it was
gonna
her
take it to
last
heart
dying
and
wish.
that it was going to, like, completely buck the finale that we usually get in a movie like this. But that scene, when she's passing away, I cried. I cried so hard.
At first, you can tell, like, obviously you can tell she's gonna die.
Yeah.
But then when she, like, randomly throws in there, just like, I was so upset when you left me, Apollo. Like, she's talking to Adonis and then, like, flips. She's talking to Apollo. Like, this is her parting speech to Apollo, and you're like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
like it kind of hits you in your throat, and you're like,
did.
oh,
I think I made a whimpering noise.
I knew that it was.
I knew it was coming.
I knew.
Early in the movie, we know that she has suffered from a stroke and she's on medicine. And I was preparing myself. I was like, "Oh my god!"
But as soon as she mentioned Apollo, I looked over at.
Oh my god!
And I just see the wet streak down his cheek.
Oh yeah, that killed me. And seeing Donnie's reaction to it and how he's just trying to roll with it, and you can see that it's breaking him too. Oh my god, it was so brutal for me.
When she's just like, why'd you have to leave me? And then saying that Adonis saved her, I was like, it was really punch you in the gut there.
It was a very powerful scene, and something like that is obviously so relatable because, at a point in everybody's life, you reach a moment where you have to say goodbye to someone you love, and, obviously, like, every scenario is different. You're not sure, what they're going to say, what you're going to say, but it's like, you think about that stuff. Or at least, maybe not everyone, but I think about that stuff sometimes, and it's a very, like, sobering, like, thought. And, like Kurt said, it was, like, very predictable when they brought it up earlier, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have some wine because you had a stroke. And as soon as that happened, I'm sure all of us were just like, yeah, she's toast, she's fried. And there was another thing that was very predictable in the movie, like, Drago and Felix were supposed to fight for the heavyweight title, and, some guy just randomly walks into, like, a party for Bianca's, like, record or something, and, like, breaks Drago's hand, and everybody's like, wow, this is so bizarre, this is so unfortunate, like, a random coincidence, but it's like, how could you not immediately think...
with an outside view would have been immediately, like...
This was Damien's doing, obviously, because he wants the title shot, he wants an excuse for anybody to put him in the ring.
And he was already fighting dirty, like, just sparring and shit, so he would... like go to any length just to get what he wanted. So I feel like it's weird that no one even.
And I get that, you know, he lost 18 years of his life to prison, but it's not like Donnie asked or forced him to pull a gun out on those guys, and it's not like he killed them, but still he got arrested.
Yeah.
And
That's what Bianca was trying to tell him. Like, you didn't choose for him to do what he did, so
yeah,
you can't feel guilty.
Well,
for
Bianca
that.
was telling him that, and Little Duke was telling him that. His
Yeah.
trainer, Little Duke, he kept telling him, "I know what you're doing. I know what you're going through. You don't owe this guy a thing. He made his decision. You made your decision. You are who you are. He is who he is. He's showing you who he is time and time again.
Yeah.
You don't owe him anything. Don't throw everything away for this guy." And of course, he doesn't listen, but
He's showing you who he is. Believe it.
that was such a good line.
it was such a
That
good
was
one.
very
And
great
he's
line.
Wood Harris is so great as Little Duke in these movies, and I feel like he has more of a chance to shine in Creed 3 more so than the other ones. He has a few more, scenes, a few more like bigger lines like that, and I just thought he's been fantastic in all of them, but especially in Creed 3.
Yeah, you can tell that Damien obviously had at least some kind of plan thought up, because, you know, Donnie comes out of like a diner or the gym or something, and Damien's leaning on his car, and, you know, they start, you know, catching up, and then they go to the diner, and Donnie tries to give him some money, and Damien's like, no, I don't want that. And he's like, but I do want a shot at the title.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what pisses me off the most. He's like, oh, I don't need you anymore. Maybe when I first got out, I needed you.
Right.
But now I don't. It's
yeah.
like, you're only here because of me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was very annoying, but I guess that's the whole point of the character, is to make you not like him. So they did that very well, and I feel like Jonathan Majors did a great job of, you know, impersonating that mindset.
And then at the end, after the whole fight, that locker room talk, they're just like, oh, it wasn't your fault. Or he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not on you. He's like, oh, it's not on
That
me
was a
either.
really touching moment, I thought, too. I like that they...
They both had some resentment towards each
Some
other,
kind of
but now
reconciliation.
they're
Yeah,
like,
there was a reconciliation there, and finally, it felt like they had some peace there, and
letting
they...
all that weight of all that shit from when they
Yeah.
were younger.
That was another like very anime-esque like ending. Yeah, I mean, you could see like in the progress of the final fight between them, like at the beginning of the fight, Damien like was just very disrespectful to Donnie, and he thought he was just like a chump basically. But
Yeah.
towards the end of the fight, each round that it showed, you could basically see Damien was like respecting him more and more, and he was
Like,
like,
oh shit, you're not gonna go out like,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
oh god.
I
I don't
love
know
that...
why he would ever think that though. Like,
well, they showed
he won so many.
when Damien was like a teenager, like he said, he was the number one,
Yeah,
you know, teenager pound for pound or whatever, and he was like a knockout.
but
What were they
the shit
called?
now.
It was like a knockout artist or something like that.
Something like that.
Like he looked
Knock
at
off
when he was a teenager and he was fighting that guy in the ring, and he was like checkmate, and then like a second later
Yeah.
he like rib punches the guy and knocks him down.
I do like how Adonis does that
Yeah.
in that fight.
He does do that
Yeah.
in his fight when he's, he's paying, like he's locking in on what this guy's doing in the first round, and the second round he's like checkmate.
And then Little Duke's like, it's Little Duke.
Yeah, Little Duke.
He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna happen in the final fight. Like they were gonna, like he was gonna tell Damien checkmate and then knock
That
him
would have
out.
been cool.
Yeah.
Like me.
I
you do it.
liked the checkmate thing that when Donnie does it, but it also, we've seen Donnie in several other fights and he's never said anything like that. So it was, like changing his character a little bit for this movie and
rope
that
in
story.
with- yeah.
But that's very minor nitpick.
I feel
It's like, you're canceled.
given the history between him and Diamond Damien Anderson or whatever he called himself,
Is it Damien Diamond?
I thought it was Diamond Damien Anderson.
It's Damien
Diamond Dame.
I thought it was Diamond Damien.
I don't know.
Either way, it's something like that.
D.
I feel like it was it would be like fitting for him to say that because, given their history.
Yeah.
Plus that last punch, right? Well, like it was like kind of like the first fight that Donnie was having, where like you can see he's like zoning in, trying to find an opening, and he finally sees like the right side of the guy's body, and he just targets it. And then there's the fight between Donnie and Damien, where Damien has his gloves up, but there's like a gap between his up and upper and lower hand when he's guarding, and Donnie just punches right in between and just knocks him out.
I don't know if it's what they were going for, but seeing as how so much of this was influenced by anime, it seemed like one of those split screen things that come in, like when it one hand's up here and one hand's there, and you just see his eyes there, and next thing you know, the fist is coming through.
I do have to say those scenes where it really like just focuses on, and it's like slow-mo, and you can like see the impact from the glove. Prime. And also I really have to say, I feel like if we didn't watch it in Dolby, it wouldn't have hit as hard as it did.
I agree. I definitely
because like seeing those like slow-mo impacts and like right as it hits you like feel your chair vibrate, it really does just set off the movie.
I think the way they shoot the fights in this movie, it's very effective. It's different. It's very unique unto the other films in the series. They're very effective and they're very brutal, and you kind of feel every punch. But I do agree that being in the Dolby Cinema room really enhances that experience. I think it was the perfect way to watch a movie.
They give you that little bit before the fight where Donnie decides that he's going to come out, and they're saying like, oh, you had how many concussions? You have this 3 broken whatever. So you already know like he's going in and he's pretty much fucked everywhere. And then there's that one punch like right into the center of his like stomach and chest, and you're like, this is it, he's gonna fucking die. Just like Apollo did.
Jesus. Well, I know you haven't seen Creed 2, but a couple of times in that movie, Drago punches him in that area like really hard several times, like break shit.
They were already saying that he had fucked up like areas in there. So when he got that really big punch, and like you could just see it on his face, like Michael B. Jordan was great when he was like had that really like oh fuck look after he gets hit. I feel like that scene was prime.
I mean, if I took a hit like that from Jonathan Majors, he was looking cut in this movie.
My God,
I know
he was built.
And Michael B. Jordan is a very in shape, muscular guy. But Jonathan Majors, King the fucking Conqueror.
I think he was made out of fucking concrete. I don't know. Also, I'm assuming that he did that like rope pull up thing without any. I'm assuming.
I have no idea. I wouldn't doubt if he did it.
Not either.
I don't even think I can hold myself up for like 2 seconds on a rope, and this motherfucker like pulls up all the way, and like letting go, like releasing and letting go and holding yourself up like that while climbing.
Yeah, I loved the training scenes. In these movies I always love the training scenes. They're so fun when he's punching the tree.
Yeah. We have to go back and have you watch all the Rocky movies at some point, because those training montages are so fun too, and some of them are so ridiculous. Rocky 4, he's like training in the mountains of Russia, and it's like growing a beard while he's training. He's like running up a mountain and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It's so fun, lifting a log instead of weights.
Why did they have him punching a tree when he already has broken bones in his hand?
I guess because it's about like punching Jonathan Majors in that movie.
He actually said, what was his trainer's name again? Little Duke. Little Duke. He says, we want to turn your flaws into strengths. And a big thing with boxers, and I guess just people in general, like when you fracture bones and they heal, like it actually gets stronger. So if you're training by like hitting something hard and you get like micro fractures in your hand, it's going to heal and your hand's going to get stronger overall.
Is it because it's like killing the nerves in your hand so you no longer feel pain?
I don't know, but I know that's like for sure thing. And as long as you don't like do serious damage and like mess up your like structure of your hand.
I have to say that one part made me laugh when Lil Duke, I don't know why I'm calling Lil, it's Little Duke, is talking to Adonis, like basically saying Damien's like just a piece of shit. And then Damien walks by, he's like, don't stop now, Lil Dookie. Calls him Dookie.
That was very funny.
Not to dog Felix. Do we know what his last name was in the movie? Was it Felix?
Felix
Chavez.
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 Not the dog guy, because I'm sure he could beat my ass if he really wanted to. But like,
He's a real fighter.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a real
Oh
fighter.
wow, I shouldn't say anything.
I don't know.
He's
Yeah.
gonna be listening like, I
can't remember.
challenge you.
He's gonna fly out.
I can't remember what his full name is. I should have written that down also. But yeah, he's a real fighter.
I was gonna say, just looking at their stature, like looking at Jonathan Majors' build and Michael B. Jordan's build, like they look like they could beat the shit out of him. And I guess technically Jonathan Majors does beat the shit out of him, and he almost kills him actually in the movie. But
Yeah.
I had no idea he was a real fighter.
It's not all about
Power, yeah, it's
power. It's about like agility,
timing,
fast move on
control.
your feet. Yeah. So even though he's smaller in stature, can move quicker. He's probably
And a lot of boxing comes down to endurance too, like who can take more hits, who can stay up longer. So
that they were. Damien's team was telling him that in their final fight, he's just like, you're throwing some pretty powerful hits, and it's only like round 2.
Yeah.
They're like, you might want to slow down. He's like, no, going for blood. I don't even think I would last half a round. I'd be like,
Run around the ring. try to say.
just the intro. I'd be like, stop, I'm done.
Leave me alone. Throw the damn towel.
Oh god, can't even imagine like how much endurance you have to. How many rounds did they go? 12.
I think it was 12. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Do you think you'd be able to last 12 rounds in a ring?
I don't think I'd last 2. I'd get knocked out in the first round.
Depends on who we're going up against.
I don't know. It doesn't for me.
I've always wanted to do like boxing classes and stuff like that,
Give it a
but
try.
Yeah, it's never too late. Go for it.
it's not too late. It's never too late.
If anything, it'll be like therapy. You get to let some anger out, hit a heavy bag.
Just put Kurt's face on the.
Wow.
Well,
That's not
I was about to offer to hold the bag for you.
right. She wants you to be the bag.
I'm gonna beat you with the
Just
bag.
kidding.
Let's go right now. Ding, ding.
I'm also those that like hanging.
Speed bag.
Yeah, and you're like.
Those are actually really hard. I've tried to do those before. And
Yeah,
like,
I've heard it. You have to like hit it at a certain time.
comes back and hits you in the face.
It would, to be my luck.
The thing is, like, it's not only just hitting it faster, like, you have to hit it, like, at the right angle, because if you hit it too much to the side, it's just going to go, like, and then you're not going to be able to continue.
So I have a question for both of you.
No.
If you were in your best physical shape, who would you rather fight in the ring in their prime? Adonis or Rocky?
The best physical shape I've ever been in, or the
No, like, the best physical shape you could
I was gonna
possibly
say
be.
because neither
Could possibly be?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Either one. I'll take them both at the same time.
I would rather fight Creed.
Which one?
Adonis Creed. I would rather fight.
And why? Why would that be?
Because Rocky has so much goddamn brain damage, he has no idea when to quit.
Oh, so you're just trying to save him, is what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to save myself. Rocky will. He's just gonna keep coming. There's nothing I can do.
There's no brain cells to knock out.
What about you, Rob? You just taking on both of them?
It's kind of like a weird question, because we're talking, if it's the best physical condition you could possibly be in, I mean, is there really like an upper limit to that? I mean,
No, I'm saying, like, who do you think you would be able to beat in their prime?
oh, in their prime.
Yeah.
I thought you meant if we were like in the best possible shape we could ever be in.
Yeah,
did say that,
well,
yeah.
I'm saying if we weren't, we wouldn't be fighting either of them. So- okay, well, let me rephrase. Who would you rather go up against in their prime? Adonis or Rocky?
I would rather go up against Rocky. I feel like Rocky has more heart, and he probably has more stamina, but I feel like Creed has more technique and like agility. Just from what I've seen, I haven't seen all the Rocky movies, so I can't.
Yeah. Well,
Give a full
Rocky
diagnosis.
ended
Like you're
the
fucking
Cold
wrong.
War. So If he can end the Cold War, he can end you.
I have no doubt. You know, I'm under no illusion. Sylvester Stallone would have put me 6 feet under with one punch if he really wanted to.
Truthfully, I wouldn't want to fight either of them.
I don't understand why anybody wants to box or
fun.
like not even boxing. What is it? Like UFC. Like,
Mixed martial arts and stuff like that.
why do you want to get punched in the face over and over again and get like your just whole body fucked up?
In high school, me
fighting.
and my friends sparred a bunch with boxing gloves. I got a couple knockouts. I got a knockout with a body shot.
Wow.
They got knocked out like unconscious.
No, knocked down as in he
knocked
couldn't
down
get
as in
up.
he
Yeah,
couldn't get
down
up,
for
yeah.
10 seconds, and that's it. That's
Well,
all
I feel like I would just lay down for 10 seconds. Like I wouldn't get back up on purpose.
We were also
Well,
like
you shouldn't be in the ring in the first place.
we were boxing.
Well, if I'm getting hit, I'm not. Why would I want to keep getting hit? If I'm hitting, sure.
But if you're getting in the ring, you're going to get hit. So
That's
just
not-
stay
if
out.
you're good enough, maybe you won't.
No, everybody gets hit.
I don't know if I could
Floyd
take.
Mayweather like to.
Floyd Mayweather's never been hit.
I don't think I could take a glove to the face multiple times.
I mean, that's why you got to keep your guard up.
I mean, but it still happens.
you will take it to
So-
the body instead.
You saw Adonis get some face shots and head shots. I don't like.
Happens, and you have to be able to roll through those punches too.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't know why people do it.
Anyway, Rob's 2-0 against his buddies in school. So,
Not 2-0.
title contender.
I actually got
Rob
my
forgot
because
to.
we were inside when we were doing this, and obviously there was no ring. We were just fucking. We were teenagers messing around. I actually got my head punched into a wall one time because I was too close to the wall, and they hit me like on the side of the head, which I don't think you're supposed to do in boxing anyway. I don't know if you're supposed to
Yeah,
punch
sure.
to the side of the head, but anyways, I got my head punched into the wall, and it like bounced off. But those are fun times. I mean, we should go to like a boxing gym sometime, even if we're not gonna spar. Just like hit the bag or something. It could be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get in shape and just go.
you don't have to get in shape to hit a bag.
But I want to be in shape. That way I can hit
Okay,
the bag
let's
better.
get in shape while hitting bags.
I want to do my own training montage.
The jump rope.
Yeah.
We go to
Maybe
Philly,
I'll be
climb
able to
up
jump
the
rope more than 4 times in the future. Jump rope for heart.
Yeah, do the
What?
rope for heart.
You know those things in school where we would have jump rope for heart? You would have to do those like fundraisers, and if you got a certain amount of people to donate, you would win like something.
Yeah.
No.
You'd remember if you didn't get your
Yeah.
head knocked into a
We
wall.
we never really participated because our parents were.
I remember those things where they gave you these pamphlets and they told you to like go around and try to get people to buy a bunch of random
And you
shit.
would get
from
like
these.
that. Yeah, you would get like prizes.
It's like how many people do you think are gonna buy this dumb shit?
But everybody would. We lived in a rich town, so their parents probably bought it all. We got this really cool
true.
prizes.
We lived in a rich town, but we were not
I feel like
among the rich.
You sound like prime examples of somebody who could succeed in one of these boxing movies. Like the really like other side of the tracks, poor people
100%.
with a chip on their shoulder.
Rob and I grew up in Redding, Connecticut, which is like a very wealthy town. Me and like us and probably one other family were probably the poorest in the town.
and that other kid was my best friend.
The one that punched him in the face.
Actually, it wasn't him, but I realize it's just a joke.
They were fighting to see who could jump them to a different wage class.
Robert was Adonis. They were
I
Damon.
fucking in my dreams.
I feel similarly about Creed 3 as I did with Creed 2, and that Creed 2 I thought was the perfect stopping point for Rocky Balboa as a character. I thought it was the perfect conclusion. And I feel that Creed 3 was kind of the perfect stopping point for Adonis Creed as a character. I think that this was a great way to close it out if they choose to do that. But I was reading earlier that Michael B. Jordan has stated that a 4th Creed movie is for sure going to happen,
Oh wow.
and that they're also considering spin-off movies. So,
It'd be cool if they did a spin-off movie
With a
with
daughter.
Little Duke.
Oh.
Little Duke,
Yeah.
Delphi.
They should make a spin-off and it'd be like just called Amara for the dog. Think about how cool that would be with like obviously she's deaf. Like you could have scenes in the movie where like they cut out all the audio and it's basically just like
Yeah.
her in her head and she's like tuning everything out.
And
Wait,
little Duke
Isn't
is
it
the
like
coach.
if you lose one of your senses, your other senses become like
Heightened.
better? So
Yeah.
she'd be like a daredevil boxer or something.
I personally wouldn't know because I never experienced it. So,
I don't know. I thought that was like a thing where like if you lose one of your senses, then your other ones are like better.
I
or
think
something.
they're supposed to be, but I don't know
Well,
if it works for everybody.
My hearing is awful.
Your
but I don't-
vision's awful.
My vision's awful. I guess I can smell, which doesn't help as often as you guys
He's
can
gonna smell the
apart.
fear. He's gonna smell the fear of the enemy.
There's an Always Sunny episode where they're like, his nose is ahead, and get this, he can smell crime.
Okay.
But anyway, I feel like this is the perfect final chapter for the Creed movies, but I also will be, excited, obviously, if they continue to make more. This is my favorite film series of all time.
Did Michael B. Jordan say he would be directing Creed 4?
He hasn't said who would be directing. I would love to see him. I can't wait to see him direct more things. I thought he was fantastic in this. For this to be his first movie is amazing, and you can tell he has such a strong foundation with the other actors in this movie because they put so much trust in him and went with his vision, and he was so seamlessly able to do this work behind the camera and in front of the camera, and everybody really bought in. So I can't wait to see what he does next.
I think you said they turned a profit on this movie opening weekend, right?
I don't know if it was a profit that they turned, but it was projected to make 35-40 million, and now they're projecting that it's going to make 55 million opening weekend. It was fucking packed when we were there. Creed 3 box office. Did you Google it?
I'm doing it right now.
You put on
Box office?
Wikipedia?
Yeah, box office right now says 22.
That was as of last night. It made $22 million on Friday night, is what I read earlier. So we'll see tomorrow what it
Yeah.
made. But it's going to be very successful. And it's going to be a huge year for Jonathan Majors because Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania already made a buttload of money.
He was in Loki. Was that last year or was it
That was
year
last
before?
year.
Yeah. I mean, he had a very like short role
Yeah.
in Loki, but his performance was very good. I think I've told you guys before.
He's great. There's this movie I want to shout out before we get to our final scores called The Last Black Man in San Francisco. It's an A24 film, I believe. He's fantastic in that. And I saw it for the first time a few years ago, and it was one of my favorite movies of that year. And I had no idea who he was at that time. He's an actor who I had never seen before, and he stole the entire movie. And I was like, I fucking can't believe how good this performance is. So I love that he's blown up now, and he's on pace to, his trajectory's going just up and up and up. And
Yeah.
he's clearly going to have a great career.
The sky's the limit.
Yep. So Laura, do you want to start us off?
Going into it, I was like, I don't really care about this movie. I
So like every other
only got
movie.
I only got like 45 minutes in through
So
the
pretty,
first one,
yeah.
and I was just like, I'm going to bed. Like,
Did we? I don't know if we mentioned this, but she actually requested that we
I
watch
did.
that
Yeah,
movie,
it
and
was
then
her
she
suggestion.
went to
I
bed 40
didn't-
minutes into it.
I didn't realize that it was 2 hours long. I thought maybe like an hour and a half, and I'm just like, we're not even halfway through. I'm so tired, I can't do it. And I didn't care to watch the rest of it or watch Creed 2 before we ended up seeing Creed 3, so I'm just like, whatever. I do have to say now that I've seen Creed 3 that I have to go back and finish Creed 1 and watch Creed 2, because I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Respectable.
Yeah, that's solid.
Kurt gave it a 5 out of 5.
4.5, I'm guessing.
What's your score?
I was very stuck between giving this a 4.5 or a 4. And even now, I'm still... This is like one of the only movies where like out of the theater, like... Usually right when I walk out of the theater, I'm like, I have a number in my head, like this is what I'm giving it, this is what I believe. But I'm still kind of stuck between 4, 4.5. The only
Give it a
thing,
4.25.
huh?
Give it a 4.25.
I think the only thing that's making me lean more towards 4 is that I did like Creed 1 more, and I think I gave that a 4. So I think I'm going to give this one a 4 as well. They're very, very solid movies, fun. You know, the acting is great. I think, Kurt, you said at one point you were reading an article, somebody was like down talking Michael B. Jordan, saying he can't act, and
Yeah, they were saying he's a non-actor. I don't know.
I don't know
what
if they're
talking
watching the same movies as me, but especially in Creed 2, when he's laying down in the bed after he fought Drago, and he's like bust organs and
Yeah.
ribs, and he starts crying when Rocky comes there, and he's like, "Where were you when I needed you?" And like
Yeah.
he's crying. It's like, I don't know if you're looking at the same actor I am, but that man can act. I don't know what you're talking
He
about.
can absolutely. Everything I've seen him in is fantastic. And speaking on him crying, there is no actor who the waterworks turn on for me as soon as they start crying in a movie. Michael B. Jordan, as soon as he starts crying, it's over for me. I'm crying too.
You have a soft spot for Michael
Yeah, I
B.
have a soft spot for Michael B. Uh,
What is his middle name?
B.
I gotta Google it now. I have to find out.
I am
He's
giving this
Brendan.
movie a 4.5 out of 5.
Knew it. I knew
Creed
it.
for me is a perfect movie. I only have a couple of nitpicks with this
Bakari.
one. Bacardi and Cola?
Bakari. It's Michael Bakari Jordan.
Well, Michael Bakari Jordan.
I now know why he goes by Michael
It's
B.
Michael Bakari Jordan. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I loved it. I was kind of riding a high from the movie all night long, and
He was boxing in his sleep.
I was boxing this morning. I had an orange with my breakfast this morning, and I was putting the slices of orange in my mouth like a mouth guard. I was like shadow boxing.
You could have left that out.
No,
They
that's
need
right.
to know.
He
Yeah.
eats, sleeps, and
I
breathes.
loved it, and I was initially, because we're seeing 2 movies next week, 65 and Scream 6. Last year we saw Scream 5 in Dolby Cinema.
This is opening weekend for both films.
Yeah, for both films next week.
Did they think that was smart?
65, I don't think is going to make a lot of money. I don't think a lot of people are going to go see 65, even though I'm very excited for it.
It looks
I
pretty
don't
cool.
know if everybody is excited for it.
I'm super excited for it.
But initially I was annoyed that we couldn't also see Scream 6 in Dolby Cinema because, last year we saw Scream 5. But now that I know it's because Creed 3 is in Dolby Cinema, I'm like, oh shit, I can go back and see Creed 3 in Dolby Cinema before it's out.
It's gonna be a triple feature.
Yeah, can't
Which-
wait.
I guess now, since we're all here, why don't we decide? Because obviously we have 2 movies we're watching next week: 65 and Scream 6. Do you guys want to do like a double feature podcast where we review both in one and maybe have it be a little bit longer, or should we do 2 separate podcasts and just release them the same day?
I'd probably say double feature just so it will be so fresh.
In my mind, we were doing a double feature. We were going to talk about both of them.
That's fine with me.
It's settled.
We got to set aside at least hour and a half for recording that, but it's cool.
We all have no
perfectly
lives anyway. All right, so guess tune in for our episode recap of The Last of Us.
That's right. On Wednesday, this is
I think it's the second to last episode.
Yeah,
That's right.
The ultimate episode.
Coming
yeah.
to an end.
Yeah.
It's like bittersweet for me because I love this series so much.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end.
I also don't want them to fuck up the ending. You know how a season could be really strong and then they just totally blow it at the last episode.
Yeah.
Like, God fucking damn it.
Like the Super Bowl.
So hopefully, they start strong, they end strong. And then tune in for double feature
The supersized episode.
65,
Scream
Scream
6,
6. Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in.
See you guys next time.
Advent 3. Potty.
Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.